Hey everybody, what's going on today? DMV Air A back in the building with yet another video where today we're going to be talking about Orioles vs Mariners Part 2. The last time these two teams have met was in Camden Yards. Baltimore was able to win that series 2-1 in a 3-game set. But joining with me here today is my friend Brighton, who is a die-hard Seattle sports fan who has known me since 8th grade in middle school. So without further ado, Brighton, introduce yourself to the people, who you are.
Yeah, as you said, I'm Brighton. I live close to Seattle. I'm from Seattle originally, so huge Seattle sports fan. And I'm just hoping we can pull off a series win, unlike last time when we lost 2-1. I think we can get it done this time back at home. We'll see.
All right, let's get into it. So, let's talk about this series in general. Obviously, it's going to be in Seattle, Washington. Should be an amazing atmosphere there. Obviously, with that amazing crowd that has their team red hot right now. As of right now, the Orioles and Mariners are leading their respective divisions, the AL East and the AL West. But they're battling each other for a minute of fame. As the Orioles trying to overcome last night's loss. They're not playing right now, but they'll play tomorrow against the Mariners, who are coming off a series loss to the Twins. As both teams try to get together, we're going to talk about the strategies. So, Brighton, tell me right here, what do your Mariners have to do to pull off this series win?
Yeah, I mean, we've been playing decent baseball lately, in my opinion. I mean, sure, we just lost that last series against the Twins, but our pitching consistently has been pretty good. It's just our batting, which has not been as good as it can be, or as it was earlier in the year. I mean, if you saw it the other day, we had Mitch Garver get hurt, and we had Luis Castillo, our pitcher, had to come in and hit. He just let 3 strikes go right by. Didn't even blink. That was awful to see. But I think we'll be able to figure something out. Like I said, our pitching has been good. We haven't been doing bad at that. It's just the batting, which has been going downhill as of late. So we'll see how that works out in this series. And we definitely need that to be up, especially with the Orioles' amazing pitching staff, and they have really good bats. So we got to step up our game for this series right here. And we need it as the Astros are catching up on us.
Yep, you're right indeed. And looking at the standings right now, Houston has been doing a lot of damage in Citi Field against the New York Mets. They're slowly creeping in to that AL West against those Seattle Mariners. And possibly has a chance to steal that division, but who knows. Anyways, on to my side right here. The Orioles obviously took 3 out of 4 in that series against the Texas Rangers. Very impressive series win for us. However, the one weakness, besides the outstanding offense, which we have one of the best in the league, the pitching has been up and down recently. And as you saw, we have 3 of our starters out with injuries, which are terribly unfortunate. But it is what it is as we approach the trade deadline, which we're going to have to make a lot of moves. But in terms of this pitching staff going up against this Mariners offense, we're going to have to contain Julio Rodriguez and Ty France, Mitch Garver, the entire lineup from 1 to 9. They're going to have to throw strikes. And they're going to have moments where they're going to give up big hits like extra base hits or homers. But as long as they can go 6+ innings without allowing too many runs, I would say the maximum amount of runs that they have to give up is 3 runs. But anything over that, we have a better chance of not winning the series at all, as we're trying to stay ahead of the Yankees for first in the division because they went toe-to-toe with the Blue Jays recently this weekend. So we just need to keep up the outstanding offense we have. And I'll throw out a very important stat right here for the Orioles. Throughout the month of June, they've hit 60 home runs in 1 month, which is basically the third most in the franchise history all time. You think about the Braves and the Yankees have had 63 or 64 home runs in a month where they've been having a hot offense. And our leading hitter in terms of hitting home runs right now, Gunnar Henderson, 26 home runs for him on the season. Adley Rutschman with a .294 batting average. And then you also have outstanding hitters as well, like Anthony Santander with 15+ homers this month. Kowser, Westberg, all those guys have contributed very well. So offense needs to keep it up with the consistency that they have. It's just pitching. We have to keep it together right here. as well as the defense right here. They got to make some big plays in the outfield as well. So yeah, those are the key strategies heading into the series between the Orioles and Mariners. The next question I'm going to ask Brighton right here. Who do you see as the best team in the American League and the National League?
Ooh, that's a tricky one right there. I'd say overall for the American League, I mean, I would not say the Mariners because we are pretty good, but we're not consistent. I don't see consistency with our team right here. But gotta say, we got the Orioles, the Yankees, and the Guardians. All are the top three teams in our league, and I would say they're the best out there. I mean, the Guardians, they've been doing good stuff lately, and they continue to play good. And you got, of course, the Orioles and the Yankees. That I think those two will come down to a tight finish for control of that division at the end of the season. And then if we look at the National League, we have the Phillies, who are always good this season. The Brewers, they're all right. I think they've been getting kind of lucky lately. Then you have the Dodgers. They've been playing pretty good, but I'd say in the National League, the Phillies are definitely one of the best teams. But I would not be surprised. This is a hot take, but I think the Mets have been playing great baseball lately, and they're on the rise to maybe be in contention for a wild card spot right there.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening as the season winds down to the All-Star break from there. I'll say for my pick in the American League, in all honesty, it will be a tight race between Baltimore and the Yankees for the division and to see who's going to get possibly the one seed in the American League. But for now, I'm going to still stick with a tight pick right here. As a fan perspective, I want Baltimore to claim the division, but I'm going to have to say the Yankees, as of now, have been the hottest team in the American League to me. Because you look at it, Aaron Judge combined with Juan Soto and the rest of the lineup, they have some hot hitters that can absolutely dominate from top to bottom. And then they can play defense too, on the other hand. I'll say their one weakness, though, is their closer, Clay Holmes. He has been blowing some saves recently, as you saw. And it's going to take him time to find the perfect ninth inning to close out right here. Just like similar to us, but he's been blowing a ton of saves recently over the past few months. Then you take a look at Cleveland. I gotta say, they're a big Cinderella story from there. They could potentially win their division. However, they got Minnesota and Kansas City, which they gotta deal with in that division as well for playoff spots. Then you look at the National League. The Dodgers, they're the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani with that hot lineup, which unfortunately for Mookie Betts, he did hurt himself. Very unfortunate. And Yamamoto, one of their pitchers, also hurt himself. So that's terribly unfortunate for them, but it's a one next man up mentality for them as they are trying to stay hot in their division. And the team that's potentially going to catch up to them, San Diego Padres. They've been getting together recently over the past couple weeks. Their pitching staff, their bullpen has been doing better. They're hitting along with Tatis, Machado, and the crew. They're doing a lot better. And I will say, Milwaukee is for now the division leader. However, the Cardinals, I'm surprised that the Cardinals have got themselves together in the last 2 weeks or so. Despite their offense not being one of the best, their rookies have definitely stepped up. And then the National League East, obviously Philadelphia is Philadelphia. But I will throw a team out there that's my secondary team that's going to potentially do some damage. Washington Nationals. And if, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not heard, they're going to call up James Wood, and they're playing right now against the Mets for a 4-game series. They called him up. He's a DMV native, 21 years of age, Montgomery County born and raised. He was part of the Juan Soto trade deal from San Diego, along with C.J. Abrams. That's going to be potentially our future for the next generation. And they're promising because right now, obviously, we're not where we need to be with a 39-44 record, but we have been getting better offensively, and the strength of that team is base running. So lock out for that right there. So I'll say the best team for now in the National League is Philadelphia, and they're still the best team in Major League Baseball overall. And I would say the best team in Major League Baseball's American League Conference would be the New York Yankees, in all honesty. The next thing for baseball is who do you think is going to be the Home Run Derby champion as the All-Star break hinges through the next couple weeks?
Well, I don't know. That's going to be tricky to pick right there. I mean, did you see all the new rule changes that they made.
Oh yeah,
There's like a pitch count now,
Yep.
and some other stuff. I don't know if I like it. I like it how it originally was, but I gotta say, I'm excited to see what Gunnar Henderson does. I think he definitely has a chance right there to make a splash right there. So I'm gonna go with Gunnar Henderson. I think for home run derby champion, either him or Aaron Judge.
Yeah, speaking of those two players, they're the top two players in terms of home runs. Judge is slightly above Henderson in terms of homers, but don't be surprised if they face each other off in like the championship or semifinal round in the home run derby. The rule changes have been a little questionable, but it is what it is. So I'm going to take Gunner for my champion as well, representing Baltimore strong, and hopefully he puts up a fantastic performance in Arlington, Texas. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for baseball. But now let's move on to the next part of this segment right here, which is going to be free agency in the National Hockey League and the National Basketball Association. Let's start with the NBA. I'm going to throw a couple key moves that have been made throughout the span of this day right here, which a lot has been happening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give 3 signings right here. The Chris Paul signing with San Antonio Spurs, the Paul George move to the Philadelphia 76ers on a 4-year deal, and finally, the Klay Thompson deal. The Klay Thompson deal to the Dallas Mavericks. Which of these moves, Brighton, do you find to be the most exciting out of the 3 that I just threw out?
I gotta say, I think the most exciting one has definitely got to be Chris Paul to the Spurs. The Spurs, they did not play good last year, but Victor Wembanyama, he played amazing last season, and I think that with the leadership that they now have with Chris Paul, a seasoned veteran that's been everything, he can definitely help them provide leadership. Even though he's only there for 1 year, he can teach those young guys on that team a lot to learn so that the next few years they keep getting better and better. And that's what they need. And I think that's one of the most interesting things so far I've seen. But we also got to talk about that Mavericks one with Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay, the Mavericks got rid of Derek White, and he went somewhere else. But they got Klay Thompson instead. So they have Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, and Luka Doncic on a team that just made the finals and almost won the finals. That's insane. I don't know what to think about that. They're going to be very good next season. They're looking for another championship run, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens right there.
Yep, I agree with you right there. I will say the Klay Thompson deal is probably going to be the most interesting and surprising moves out there today because you adding a key piece. I believe they found the missing piece of the puzzle with that dynamic duo with Kyrie and Luka that will be able to help them win a championship. I understand they are known to shoot a lot of threes. I felt like Kyrie had a really bad performance in terms of the 3 games in Boston they played in the finals. He didn't shoot well at all from the field, especially from the 3-point line. But I felt like he finally found somebody to help him keep up that 3-point shooting, along with Luka Doncic. As for that Paul George signing, yeah, it was kind of exciting, but at the same time, you gotta keep Embiid healthy as the season goes on. So I will not choose that as a surprise move. I understand they had Tyrese Maxey with an extension as well. Very good move there, but for the 34-year-old, he's got to keep him and Joel Embiid healthy throughout the course of the season right here. If they can't, then that move will not be worth it. So I'm going to take the Klay Thompson signing, 3-year deal, and he'll do amazing for the Dallas Mavericks. Guarantee. Now let's move on to the NHL. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with the NHL, I'll give you a rundown with a couple moves from here on out for my Caps, Washington Capitals. They went out there, they traded for a couple guys and signed some free agents from here on out. And all the moves that we made, they're not too interesting at all, but hopefully they help out for our future. We have made a trade for former Ottawa Senators defenseman Jacob Chychrun, and I probably butchered that name, in exchange for a 3rd-round pick of 2026 and defenseman Nick Jensen, which, if you did not see last year in the playoffs, we got swept by the Rangers. Not a very impressive ending from here on out, but we still have a bright future ahead of us. So, Brighton, what moves do you think you find interesting in the NHL free agency?
I definitely got to say the move that my Seattle Kraken made. We made a very interesting one, I think. We signed a former Golden Knight forward, Chandler Stephenson. He's now gone to Seattle after he just signed a 7-year contract. So I'm interested to see what happens there. I mean, obviously, he played for the Golden Knights, who've been a very good team and one of our toughest opponents. And I'm interested to see if that 7-year deal is worth it.
Oh, yes. Chandler Stevenson, by the way, I'll throw a cool fact right here. He was part of Washington for a couple years, won a Stanley Cup with us in 2018, if you saw that championship run. Very amazing trip to Vegas, where it was a really good moment in 2018. Had a fun time experiencing that run right there. But I must say, out of all the moves that I've seen right here, I'm going to have to go with the Steven Stamkos one to the Nashville Predators. He will be able to give some leadership to them, as throughout the past year since their championship appearance in 2017 has not been impressive. So hopefully this veteran from Tampa Bay will give the Predators some life and experience as they go on forth. But I will say, one team that's made a ton of moves today is the Chicago Blackhawks. Because keep in mind, they have the number 1 overall pick, Connor Bedard, who's trying to get some experience. He's still learning, but he needs somebody to surround him, or some people right there. So I'm going to read to you the players that they have, okay, in terms of their free agency moves. Because they have made a ton of moves. 1, Teuvo Teravainen from the Carolina Hurricanes. Huge move there. Number 2, Tyler Bertuzzi from the Detroit Red Wings, who, by the way, has played with a ton of veterans throughout his years in Detroit. Let me see, third veteran, if I can pull it up right here. Okay, here it is Patrick Maroon. Won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues. He's going to be here for a 1-year deal. And let's see, Craig Smith. 1-year deal. Not too much of a surprise right there. So they have got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, Alex Martinez, who won the Stanley Cup with the LA Kings as well. So they have a couple of veterans that are champions that can help out the Chicago Blackhawks team without a doubt. So I would say the team that made the most moves that are very interesting is Chicago. And I would say the surprise move for me is the Steven Stamkos move. After he spent all those years with the Lightning, got all the rings that he needed, but now he's trying to give a team pretty much all the experience that they need. All right, let's move on to the last segment of this video right here.
One more question about the NHL real quick. Did you see my Kraken also got Brandon Montour from the Florida Panthers? We signed him as well for another 7-year contract. He just helped their team win the Stanley Cup, so I'm very excited to see what he can do there as a defender. I'm very excited for this next season right here.
Yeah, you guys got a promising future as well, as you're trying to flush last year's disappointing season, which you made that playoff appearance, though, in 2022. Try to go on a deep run. In spite of the second-round exit, you still got a bright future, and you're still getting started, since you're still called the expansion team from there. And you guys have a ton of talent as well. But there's a lot of teams out there that are trying to make a ton of moves as well. Anyways, let's move on to the last part of this video right here, which is NFL training camp. Now, as you can see right here at the back of me, ladies and gentlemen, Baltimore is going to have one heck of a season next year, especially with all the moves that they made this offseason. The one move that impressed me the most was the Derrick Henry signing from there. We need a running back that can go well with Lamar Jackson and the offense, trying to change the whole dynamic of the running game overall. He's a very physical runner that can gain a lot of yards from there, and then hopefully our defense will stand out as well. But many other teams have tried to make their rosters even better as well. So Brighton, what do you think of NFL training camp thus far?
Yeah, we got my Seahawks, of course. I'm just waiting for the season to start. I don't know what to think. We just got Mike McDonald as our new head coach, so I have no idea what the plan moving forward is right there. Anything could happen. We could be very good, or we could not do so good. But I think no matter what, our defense will be spectacular, especially because it was already a really solid defense, and now we have one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the league as our head coach, and he's going to make that the priority. And we have Draymond Jones and I'm excited to see what we're going to do right here with our defense and our offense. I still think we'll need some more help there, especially with Geno Smith. He's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I think after this season, we should definitely move on and look at getting a better quarterback. I know we have Sam Howell as our backup, but I don't see him being a career franchise quarterback. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff to be said right there. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to throw a special announcement out there that I am targeting Week 6 game Battle of the Beltways between the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. There is a possibility that I'll be vlogging that game, so stay tuned for that as I get ready for the 2024 NFL season. And I'm not going to lie, the AFC North I'm looking at right here, I've been hearing a lot of people say it's going to come down between the Ravens and the Steelers for the division, because keep in mind, Pittsburgh is going to try to do something with Russell Wilson and that defense that they have as well. But I still have a strong feeling that we may take it from here the hard way. So, with that being said, it's going to be a crazy year next year. And with all the rule changes as well for the NFL. We have a new kickoff rule, which is kind of like the XFL, that the team that has the ball will line up at least like 5 or 10 yards apart, and they will not be able to move once the ball is kicked into the landing zone. And for those of you that are confused with what's going on in the new kickoff rule, basically if you kick the ball straight into the end zone, the ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. If it is not kicked in the landing zone, it will be placed at the 40-yard line. But if it is touching the ground in the landing zone but then rolling in to the end zone, it is considered spotted at the 20. So it's a little bit confusing for the kickoff rule. And it will take away surprise onside kicks as well, which is terribly unfortunate. But it is what it is moving forward as we prepare for another season of drama and a lot of contact as well. Because like Justin Tucker said in his interview, he's prepared for a lot of contact. So he'll be ready from there. And by the way, they dropped the hip drop tackle as well, which is beneficial for offense, not so good for defense as they're trying to make some defensive tackles. So is there any last words, Brian, for the rule changes made to the NFL next year?
No, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it all around. I don't like it, but I could be completely wrong. It could be very beneficial. We'll just have to see what happens. I definitely do not like the hip drop tackle rule because that's so like opinion based. Like any tackle could end up being that, and it could be completely wrong or it could be completely right. We don't know. I'm not a fan of that one in particular. I'm okay with the NFL kickoff rule, but I also don't. I don't like it that much. We'll see what happens, though. I'm just interested to see how it works out. And hopefully, if they see it doesn't work very well, then they'll change it, but we'll see what happens.
And the purpose of the new kickoff rule is to try to encourage punt returns and possibility of scoring a touchdown if you're lucky, if you have speed. And the biggest issue for me of the new kickoff rule, it may increase some injuries during the kickoff because there's a lot of contact, like I just said, that's going to happen during the kickoff. So it may risk a lot of injuries, just like baseball too. With the pitch clock, pitchers don't get enough time to recover. But who knows? Maybe successful in terms of getting returns up because it was a low 22% of returns. Not a lot of returns happen a lot. But we'll see what happens moving forward as the new season will kick off the upcoming months from now. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much all we got right here. And Brian, is there any last words you'd like to say to the people before we cut this video?
Go Mariners.
And go Orioles as well. With that being said, that's all we got, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it.